Roy Jones, and I'm here to interview artist Izabella Vlahavas. Hello, Izabella.
Hi.
Where are we today?
At the old sorting office, that's 49 Station Road. It's the Barnes Art Centre.
Yeah. Behind us we've got some of your amazing paintings. Would you like to kind of tell us a little bit about the background of...
Yes, I'd be really happy to do that. This one is called Titanic. There's usually a theme or something that inspires me into painting something, and I know at the time I was watching the film Titanic a lot, and it moved me, and I kept crying when I was watching it, and that's what came up. And then the two paintings above that are the Gower.
Gower in Wales, for those who don't know, it's a peninsula near Swansea.
Yeah.
Area of special natural beauty, loads of beautiful beaches.
Yes.
Did you live near there?
Yes, well I lived in the Neath Valley, the Swansea Valley, I think near the Brecons. But when we used to go to the Gower and explore, Wales, I found that the views were absolutely breathtaking.
So I mean, is this a kind of beach area here?
Yes.
I'm seeing?
Yes.
And water?
Yes, yes. There is an actual...
Rocks? Like
yes.
Cliffs?
Cliffs.
Yeah. Your skies seem to be like full of kind of vibrant, pulsating energy.
Because
is that how you? Is that how you see it?
But it's alive, isn't it? I think everything I see is full of colour and full of energy into everything. And when I get painting, I just get lost in what I'm doing. Time literally stands still, and I just get into a, very happy state, and just pour my soul onto the canvas.
Wow.
That I'm working with, and that happened a lot.
So your use of colour is quite different from anyone else I've seen. There's something linking or your work because of your choice of colour. It's very unique, I think, in my experience. I'm sort of see this amazing kind of energy field around your work, and the colour, the way you use colour, is like key to that, isn't it?
Well, it's just me, and it's the way I interpret whatever it is. It's a bit from the outside world and a lot from me.
But were you actually on site when you painted these, or did you go there and had a feeling and then go home and paint at home?
A lot of the time I just see something, it really staggers me, and I think I've got to get that down, on a piece of canvas.
Yeah.
That's what happened in this case. This is the road from my village where I was living, Different Cefn, to Leith. And it's a real, it's just a small road, and it's just in the mountains. There's mountains behind you, mountains in front of you. It's very high up, and you can see a bit of the, the sea from there. And the light and the way that the sun plays on all the surrounding areas is just inexplicably lovely. And I just used to do this, quite often, to go shopping and everything.
So I'm seeing sea in this area. Am I?
Yes.
And that's the sun.
And that's the sun.
And it kind of like rays of light stretching out.
Yeah. This one is called Oasis, and it's just, and I don't know why I wanted to paint that, but I did. Extraordinary, because about a week later I went on holiday to Corfu, and we stayed at a place that looked exactly like that. I'm serious. And my friends noticed it as well.
Wow.
I know. So that's not Wales, this is more Greece. And the colouring is different, I think, because of that. But it's,
wow. So are these like olive trees then, or?
Yeah. And again, the sort of symbolic, mountains, which are not as dramatic as the Welsh mountains.
Yeah.
It's a bit more. It's
a
bit different in the different countries, because I've lived in different places.
And when did you start painting then? Because you've got quite a style, so how did the style develop, you know?
All on my own. I just loved painting. I thought it was the normal thing that people did. And I was 6 years old, and every time I found, colouring pencils and things like that, I went for it. And at school they said, we were going to do a competition that we all did paintings of, and I did Peter Pan flying through the heavens, and I think I got an award for that.
Wow. So it's something that's been there right from the
start?
Yes,
right from the start. And I loved painting, and I couldn't wait to do my first oil painting, and I thought, I'll do a portrait of a friend of mine, which I did. And just whenever I could, I'd just sit down, paint, paper, and just let my imagination kind of run wild.
Yeah.
And I just loved colours, I think.
Yeah.
This is House of Dreams.
Right.
I thought, if I lived in this really beautiful house in the middle of nowhere, where it's all quiet and there's all beauty surrounding me, how would it be? And it's a fairy tale house, I think.
I mean, this is a landscape, but it's also like a dreamscape
at
the same time.
I suppose so, yeah.
Is this house something from your past, or is it just purely fantasy?
It's imaginary, really, but I think it looks. I like roofs, and I like those little cottagey type places, and that's what happened.
Well, have a look at some more.
Okay. While I was in Australia, I really found, again, different type of colouring, different type of vegetation, and I just managed to do one painting, and there's lots of bridges in Sydney. The painting that I did was in Hobart, and with lots of little boats and just gorgeous. I found Australia absolutely beautiful. This is a painting of a tree that I saw when I was waiting for a bus in Nice, which was just huge, and I don't know if it's still there or not, but it had a massive trunk.
Yeah.
And sort of lots of leaves and branches and everything like that, which all seemed to me to be vitally alive.
Yeah. The gorgeous colours of it as well, aren't they? Really beautiful.
Yeah. Once when I was interviewed by a newspaper, because I started writing for a newspaper, the girl told me something about the Banwin Banshees, and I had never heard about that. But when she described to me about the screaming banshees, I imagined something like that. And that's what that painting is about. These people sort of flying through the air and screaming. And that's, that was a bit of a kind of a way out painting, but I just really enjoyed doing it. So excitement.
Yeah. What about this one next to it?
The ships. I got this thing about ships, and I did a couple of other paintings. But these are sort of vessels, and they're like the Greek, ships in the old days when they used to travel around and in Mesopotamia and everything, and they had the sailing ships and everything, and I just thought that's really what that painting's about.
Like sort of like the Iliad.
Yes. Because I was reading about the 300 Spartans, and I was just remembering all those amazing times in ancient Greece.
Yeah, because we haven't touched on this yet, but you have Greek heritage, don't you?
Well,
and a strong connection with the sea.
Yes, I am Greek, and my father was in the Greek Navy, and I love the sea as well. So I do have that connection, and obviously all my background is to do with Greece.
Are you drawn to that period in history? Like the classical Greek era. Surely, you must be
very
proud
much.
being.
Absolutely amazing. I love all those things, and I think Socrates is one of my favourite people of all time.
This painting here, this green painting.
That is, again, Wales. There are places in Wales where there's lots of sort of mountains, and you see the houses, like it's almost like it's one on top of the other.
As terraces.
Yes.
With the house points.
Absolutely.
On the mountain.
Yes, and the rooftops.
Yeah.
And I really felt like I captured that, because I was thinking I want somehow to that's how I see it.
Yeah.
And you get it in Neath, and you get it in Swansea, and you get it in Pontardawe, and I just liked.
Yeah, my own mum lived in a house a bit like that in Treborth.
Wow.
A terrace. On a hill.
And I think they're beautiful. I just think that the countryside and the villages and the houses and all the lovely colours of the houses and everything to do with that is beautiful. So I tried to get it on my canvas.
Yeah, I think it's really cool. Captured that. So I know exactly what you think. I captured it.
Right. So that's fine. Now this, I was working in a place called the Ancient Britain in the kitchen. And this, believe it or not, was the view that I used to see walking down to the pub, which is there somewhere, because it was a very curvy road. I don't know if you can see that, but it was just a really curvy road, and it went sort of round, and there were sort of mountainous vegetation things on the right-hand side and on the left. And then just at the bottom, there was this lovely little pub. And it was just very, very rustic and very, very, I imagined that's how it had been for, the 200 or 300 years or something when it was built. And you get buildings like that in Wales, which I find just really lovely.
What about this painting next to it with the big orange-red sun?
Again, we're of the sea and the Gower and Port Talbot, in the background, and it's just all, it's all that sort of dynamic kind of sort of rawness, that I found a lot in Wales. That I found the exciting colours and the just really melodramatic type scenery.
Okay. So tell us about these ones. What's this? Yeah.
This is the view from my house that I lived in Different Cethbyn, and that was one of the paintings that I actually stood and looked at whatever it was that I was painting, and there were these lovely trees opposite my house, which I've drawn there, and that is the view that I had from my window. This one is called Keeping Still Mountain, because I had written something about Confucius and the I Ching.
Right.
And the Keeping Still Mountain just, brought that up. And it was one of the first things I did when I went to Wales. Because I was thinking that just being, beside a mountain where this wise man is, and having, the feeling of all that power, the unshakable, the unmovable mountain.
Yeah. So this is your sage here.
Yes. Confucius.
Oh right, it's Confucius.
Confucius. And I don't normally put people and animals into my paintings, but I do every now and again when it's necessary. As I did in this painting, which is Swansea.
Wow.
And I just see like Swansea was a place where there's just so much energy and it's so vibrant, and there's students there and there's music there, and it's just magic. It's really, high powered, and I spent a lot of time there with my friends, and just
this is the colours you've used on this are much more kind of bright, they're less pastely, they're kind of really sort of, and the way you've kind of got all these sort of check patterns. It's like it's a different kind of energy. It's more like you use a lot of round shapes in your landscapes, but this sort of city is like squares that are like pulsating with energy.
Yes, which is how I used to. That's how I experienced Swansea, and I used to, whenever I paint, and that's I think one of the reasons I like to paint. I feel completely free. So I can do what I want. I am the master, and I just go with whatever it is, the flow. of whatever inspired me.
Yeah.
In this case, it was Swansea.
There's a couple of cats in this one.
Yes.
Is there something behind that, or did they just happen to
They just
come
happened
along?
to come along, and I just thought, oh well, I do like cats.
Yeah, me too.
I thought, why not have them there? They can be talking to each other. This is Glynneath. There are 3 waterfalls in Glynneath that I went to visit in the early days when I was in, Wales, and they were absolutely stunning, and they stayed at the back of my mind. And just one day, I found myself painting this, and I thought, oh, I know what that is.
Oh, that's great. This is on canvas, isn't it?
This is oil, and this one's oil as well, because I do like oil. I like all types of painting, but I suppose I'm quite classical. I don't do too weighed out things. I want a canvas and some paints and some paint brushes. These are the 3 mountains as well, which I did quite early on.
Is that the Black Mountains of sort of South Wales?
I think so, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, there's mountains everywhere in Wales. And there's lots and lots of colours and lovely sunsets, and it's just beautiful. I used to wake up sometimes in time to see the dawns because I found them so lovely.
Is that a dragon? Yeah, in the rock?
No, it's not, but a lot of people do ask me that. It's actually fire, the aliveness of fire, and that. Then I thought fire horse, and then I thought a flying fire horse somehow,
right.
With wings, and that's what happened. But it was one of my favourite paintings for a really long time. I absolutely loved it, and I always put it in, in my room so that I could look at it every day. Fire's a bit dangerous, but it can also be beautiful.
Yeah, keeps you warm too.
Yeah.
What's this other one?
And that is actually one of the few imagination paintings. I did a couple like that. Just was letting my imagination run wild again. And it looks kind of Australian, I suppose. But it was before I went to Australia again. So it was my imagination of how I thought it would be, with the colours that I thought, but exotic and hot weather and palm trees and, water and things like that all mixed up. But, and I just got carried away with it, and that was the result.
So there's a series of 4 paintings here hanging in the cafe next to the main exhibition centre. What inspired these pictures?
Well, the mermaid is Leah. She's my daughter. I always found her mystical and very magical and very feminine and very strong, and in a way supernatural. That's what made me think about a mermaid, and it was just to do with Leah and the feeling of water around the mermaid, and that something that's there but you can't actually capture it.
It's very atmospheric. And this one next to it?
That's Wales again, and the wildness and the ruggedness of Wales when you go further out and you go to, the coastlines, when you're driving around, and, sometimes obviously there's stormy weather. I just did that when I was thinking about the views from the sea and the cliffs and the rocks and everything.
That's a really nice painting.
Thank you.
This one with a red frame.
It's waterfalls again, because there's so many lovely, waterfalls in Wales. There's the Colburn ones just near where, I used to live. I found it fascinating because I hadn't been, to a place before that had waterfalls everywhere. The thought of water flowing down and everything, so that's why I painted that one.
And next to it we've got a very unusual piece in that lovely natural wood frame. That's quite different to most of the other ones I've seen today. And what's the story behind that?
That's the desert. That's the desert in Egypt or somewhere like that. And I just did that. I think I had seen, a film, maybe it was Indiana Jones or something, and they were in the desert. And I just sort of thought, red sky and all that sand and everything. Just, yeah, that's what brought that on, really. And I wanted it just to be that one thing.
So, well, thank you very much, Izabella, for sharing your thoughts and showing us your amazing paintings.
Mm-hmm.
What are your plans now for the future?
First of all, it's been a pleasure showing you my work and sharing it with everyone. And my plans for the future, I'm very excited about the future, and I feel like this is the beginning of a journey. I'm going to do more painting. I'm going to do, more exhibitions and, let as many people as possible see my work and focus on all the things that I love doing, which I feel that I didn't really have enough time for up till now. So yes, and I'm really looking forward to it, and some more travelling.
Right.
Okay.
Well, we look forward to catching up with what your next batch of paintings.
Thank you.
Thanks very much.